Hello dear tea friends from around the world. Welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. First, I will start with the good news, and then we're going to do our tea class about Yingzhi Baozhong. Today we are going to study the process of making Yingzhi Baozhong, and we are going to discover a new cultivar, Yingzhi Hongxin. I'm going to tell you all about it. It's a very interesting cultivar, even though it seems a bit unfamiliar, but you will see that it is one of the important historical cultivars in Taiwan. I will explain you why, and we will finally end this class with about the process. I will tell you everything that is particular to Yingzhi Baozhong, because each tea is a combination of its geography, its climate, the tea kind, and the know-how of the makers. And so the makers of Yingzhi Baozhong have tweaked a little bit the process of making semi-oxidized tea for the specific needs and characteristics of Baozhong. This is a very interesting thing we are going to see at the end of this class. First, the good news. Since I'm speaking in English, this will maybe concern a lot of you. In the US, we had a trouble that it was not allowed to send packages for businesses. This restriction is still in place. However, now it's possible to send packages to friends and gifts valued below $100. Now, since a lot of you are my friends, my tea friends, and your tea orders can be easily valued below $100, I have already successfully sent actually a package of roughly 200 grams of tea to one of you in the US. It has passed customs. Now I'm trying with two packages of 450 grams of tea, roughly. And so for 200 grams, this is already okay. So if you and the prices for so the post office can deliver this without any customs. So because it's below $100, so there's a franchise. There's no customs on this. So if you are interested to purchase samples of my teas valued below $100, then this can be done. And I would do it in the following way. Since you are all good friends, I send it first. I take the risk that the customs might reject it, and then you pay when you receive it. But of course, this offer only extends to existing customers. If you are new to my website, then you have to pay first. But of course, I'm delivering. So this is a good news. So at least some tea can be sent now to the US, even though it's not the large packages. They have to go through normal tariffs, and they cannot use the post office. They have to use FedEx, UPS, which are really much more expensive than the regular post office fees. So this is really only for wholesale that this is possible. Now, let me start to to preheat my gaiwan. I'm already very thirsty. Lucky for me, I really wish to drink. Oh. Now, last week we focused our class on the region where Baozhong is planted and cultivated. Today I want to focus more on the process of Yingzhi Baozhong. Now, this process, of course, is largely inspired by the process of oolong tea, which itself is coming from the process of Yancha with oolongs, because the oolong process has been invented in the Hui Mountains in Fujian. Fujian being the province just across the Straits of Taiwan. So this explains, as we saw in the first classes about history, that a lot of immigrants to Taiwan were Chinese from the Fujian province. So they also brought the know-how how to make tea from the Fujian province, and this tea was oolong, semi-oxidized tea. Now, what is the process of semi-oxidized tea? How does it differ from green tea, which is the most harvested tea in China? First, it starts with the maturity of the leaves. Green tea is harvested early in the spring, when the leaves are very small, when they are just buds. Whereas oolong, Baozhong, semi-oxidized teas, they are harvested after Qingming festival, after April 5th, when the leaves are more mature, are larger. So this is the first difference with green tea. The exact day when they are going to harvest will also depend on the cultivar. We see some cultivars grow faster, earlier than others. Jinshuan is harvested before Qingxing oolong, even at the same altitude. So this will also depend on the cultivar. Then we have withering outdoors and indoors. So just after the teas are harvested, they are brought to the factory where they are spread evenly on large surface. First they do it outside and then they do it indoors to help the tea slowly to dry, just simply under the sun or in the shade or in the coolness of an indoor facility. After that, they start to do some shaking of the leaves in order to start the oxidation. This is a step that is not used in green tea. In green tea, we don't want the leaves to oxidize, but in oolong, you want. That's why you are going to shake the leaves, turn them around a lot, and the edges of the leaves are going to get bruised, and the oxygen of the air is going to oxidize at these places where the leaves have been hurt through the shaking. There are times of rest, times of shaking, times of changing the position so that every leaf gets a similar amount of exposure to air. And once the leaves have attained the proper oxidation level, that's when the master decides to stop the oxidation by using a high temperature. In China, they're using wok traditionally. In Taiwan, the producers are using gas ovens that turn, and very hot, 190 degrees Celsius, and it's tumbling like a wash machine. So the leaves never attach very long to the metal. They keep moving in the air, but at a very high temperature for 8 to 10 minutes. And then as soon as they come out of this tumbling oven, they are put in a press with a sphere that presses them on an empty sphere, and it makes the juices of the leaves come out. So this is one way to get the juices of the leaves to the surface, and then these leaves are shaped and dried. And after the drying, they are further dried or roasted even. Then they are sorted by color, looking for and some defects, taking away the stems, etc. And at the end, they are packaged. So this is the process for all oolongs. And after we drink this Yingzhi Hongxin, we are going to see what is specific to Baozhong, how producers in Wenshan have created some of their own techniques to help emphasize the character of Wenshan. Now, Yingzhi Hongxin, they look very nice, small leaves. It's interesting to notice from the name that it is actually the exact opposite name to Ruanzhe Qingxing. We know Qingxing Oolong, Ruanzhe Oolong, a synonym. That is the most used tea in Dongding and in the high mountains. So Yingzhi Hongxin is the opposite. It means literally hard stem, red heart, whereas Ruanzhe Qingxing means soft stem, green heart. So Yingzhi Hongxin, hard stem, red heart. So this is a name that is based on the physical appearance of the leaves. Let me do the first brew. As my water was very hot, so I let it rest a little bit. Great. We'll see some foam that you can collect with your lid. Turn it around. Empty your water in the wastewater bowl. Oh, my throat is so dry. And because the leaves are not rolled but twisted, we can quickly pour them out. Hopla. I'm shaking a bit. It's 10 p.m. here, so I'm a bit tired. And I need the energy from this tea to continue. So, Yingzhi Hongxin is an older cultivar. It's not one of these cultivars that was made by the Taiwan Research and Extension Station through hybridization. However, Yingzhi Hongxin is an important cultivar, even though you probably never heard about it before, because it is the parent cultivar used to make both Jinshuan and Cuiyu jade oolong. So the number 12 and number 13 made by the Taiwan Research and Extension Station, they are using Yingzhi Hongxin as a parent. For Jinshuan, they also use Tainong number 8, and for jade, they use Taiwan number 75. So teas that are also property of the, or that are hybrids from the Taiwan Research and Extension Station, but Yingzhi Hongxin actually is an older cultivar that was already used some 100 years ago. So one of the original cultivars, and it may not be very much used anymore outside Wenshan. However, the sons and daughters of Yingzhi Hongxin, which are jade and Jinshuan, are still very much used, and they have given grandchildren. There are even grandchildren, TIS 19 and 22. 22 is a Qinyu, which we are also going to study in these classes, are also based on Hongxin as because they are using Jinchuan as the parent. So each time you've been drinking Jinchuan or jade, actually, you have half of the DNA came from Yingzhi Hongxin. So this tells you that this cultivar is probably a cultivar that is very flowery, very fragrant, has more a sweeter and not too much pronounced taste, less than Ruanzhi Oolong or Qingxing Oolong. And indeed, it has a very delicate aftertaste. I think it's even more refined than Jinchuan or jade. That's also why it is also a bit more expensive. And the fragrances are very high. So by creating Jinchuan and Cueyu, the main purpose for the Taiwan Research and Extension Station was to create a new cultivar with higher yield, and that would be easier to manage to cultivate. So Yingzhi Hongxin actually is a bit more difficult to manage and cultivate. That's why they had to they came with the idea to hybrid it with two other teas. Very, very pure. Here you have a very nice another approach that is maybe even truer to the character of Baozhong than Qingxing Oolong. We saw Qingxing Oolong is a cultivar that is very much used in the high mountain and in Dongding, so with a very strong aftertaste. I feel that it's easier to use Gewürztraminer in Alsace or Riesling than Pinot. That Yingzhi Hongxin is a better in fitting character for Wenshan Baozhong than actually Qingxing Oolong. Maybe you disagree with me. Please let me know in the comments. If you do, this could be a good debate, or maybe the occasion to make a comparison between the Baozhong Excellence based on Qingxing and this Baozhong based on Yingzhi Hongxin. But in terms of lightness and zestiness, I think that Yingzhi Hongxin really comes closer to the character of Wenshan Baozhong. Okay, I hope that you are enjoying this Baozhong at home, that you did not have any trouble making it. Does not have to be brewed very long, since the idea is to get the fragrances. I will answer your questions in a moment if you have some. Now let's finish our class with the specifics of the oolong and the specifics of the Baozhong process. Now the specifics of the Baozhong process already starts with harvest. Now, Baozhong leaves usually are harvested at a higher maturity than oolong leaves. And the Baozhong leaves are also larger, and this makes sense when you think that oolong is going to be rolled, and so it needs to have a very flexible leaf to be able to be rolled into a very small shape. The shape of Baozhong being open, it does not require so much work and so much flexibility from the leaf in order to remain in the open state that it is when it is harvested, and therefore it makes sense that it can be larger than oolong. This is also the case with yancha, for instance. If you were wondering why are yancha in this kind of shape and not rolled, it's because these yancha are harvested rather late, more mature, and the leaves are quite thick and hard, harder than Tieguanin, for instance, and therefore not very suitable to roll them like high mountain oolong. It's amazing how small a high mountain oolong can become, even though it is actually composed of several leaves, not just one. And the last one must be, when it comes up and it unfurls, is still very, very easy to roll and really not very hard. So this is first difference between oolong and Baozhong. The Baozhong producers can harvest a little bit later, more mature leaves. Then there is something also specific for the withering. Just after the harvest, when the leaves arrive at the factory to be processed, we have to know that the dry season in Taiwan is in autumn and especially winter. It's supposed to start now. Actually, it's just raining as we speak. But the rainy season in the spring starts actually with April 5th. So April 5th is the start of heavier rainfalls, and very often the climate in the north of Taiwan makes it that it is sunny in the morning and it rains in the afternoon. So very often producers would start to harvest the leaves in the morning, and then in the afternoon they face the problem that it's starting to rain. So rain is the enemy of a good process for tea. So if it's raining, you are not able to pick. It would make a really terrible tea. Similar, how do you do the outdoors withering if it's raining? Is one, you cannot, because if the rain falls on the leaves, they're not going to dry. Actually, they're going to absorb even more humidity. So it's the opposite of what you are trying to achieve. So, in order to have a good answer to this problem, in Wenshan, the Baozhong producers use a lot of indoor withering, so they skip the outdoor withering. They only use indoor withering using a large net on the ground where they put the leaves, and then they use a strong fan that brings a lot of air through the leaves and dries them with this fan. So this is something that you don't see in other tea regions in Taiwan. This is really specific to Baozhong, and it has the advantage that it does a good job, and it does quite a standardized job. Never mind if it's sunshine, cloudy or rainy outside, you are going to get your leaves well withered with this method. Actually, if the weather is really good, they will do the outdoor withering, but if they're not so sure, and this is often the case with the rain season, then they will only do it indoors. Then the oxidation level for Wenshan Baozhong will be usually lighter than for oolong. So for tea of the same altitude, from the same cultivar, if you compare a Dongding oolong that is not roasted with Wenshan Baozhong from Pinglin, both are harvested at the same altitude, roughly 500-600 meters in altitude. However, in Dongding, the oxidation level will be higher. There is more shaking of the leaves, and this allows the Baozhong oxidation level to be lower and the color of the brew to be lighter, more and greener because there are less tossing of the leaves. And then, of course, the main difference between an Baozhong and an oolong is that all these Baozhong are single leaves, whereas most oolongs come with several leaves on one stem. Here the stems are taken away and the leaves are separated. This happens at the stage after the pressing of the leaves. Remember, we have heated the leaves at a high temperature. Quickly they go through a pressing and rolling for a short time, and then they go through this machine for drying. I think I've posted some videos on the YouTube channel of the process. Now you can go and see this. And when the leaves are starting in this machine, they go through a kind of a filter that is going to take the leaves away and take only one leaf at a time. And that's how they are making Baozhong in a different shape than oolong. Oolong is rolled. It is not directly dried. It goes through a pressing phase. Here it's not going through a pressing phase, but it goes through a tearing away from the different leaves on one stem to get single leaves in the cup. Okay, and so all these steps we see with the withering and with the lower oxidation actually help make Baozhong a lighter tea that comes quite close to this taste of high mountain. However, it has the characteristics of the Wenshan mountains, not of the high mountains. So it has a bit more these zesty notes and sometimes these subtropical forest notes. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Give me a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this class. I'm going to check your numerous comments to see if you have any questions. Oh, James says it's great news. So since this is something I only open to American friends to be able to order tea in this manner, the best way is you make a cart. You are still not really allowed to place the order directly. I still put very high shipping rates because I want to control how much you buy. I have to limit you in the quantity, so I cannot let you order as much as you wished. And then I will contact you and give you the offer. Tell you, okay, you want it for so much, and then let's agree on this quantity. I send you the tea. I send you also a link, and then once you receive the tea, you can pay with the link I've sent you. Terry, hello. Thanks for tea friend privilege. No problem. Anakia music. Salut. Thanks for staying up late to share. Yeah. Merci pour la commande de thé. Je bois ton Dongding 2009. Very good. Great. I tried to order the sampler but could not put it in the cart. Is it due to the US settings? No, I have to check. Maybe it's so if you want to order, I will contact you directly. Terry, new pack is very beautiful in colors, red and gold. Okay, I don't know. And how old is too old for Baozhong? For example, 2-year-old tea is just not worth it anymore, or you should always buy the freshest possible right after it is produced each year. This is a great question. And of course, the answer is quite easy. The easy answer is very short. It depends. It depends on the quality. It depends on how well the tea has been dried. I have sent, I think in 2007, a Baozhong to a tea friend from Italy. She used it for her wedding, and just 1 or 2 years ago, she sent me remaining tea back because she had kept this specialty for her because it was also for used for her wedding, and because it was still tasting so good. So Baozhong that was at that time 16, 17 years old still tasted fantastic, even though it was not a roasted one, just a well dried. And if the Baozhong is well made, usually it's also going to be well dried, because how you say, for Baozhong, since they are in stripes, I think it's easier to dry. It's not so complicated as when they are in bowl shaped. Here it takes a bit more expertise, know how to roast it well. For Baozhong, it's almost necessary to do a good drying. So I had fewer problems with Baozhong for the keeping. However, Baozhong are going to evolve faster because they have a larger surface to the air, and so this makes it also actually quite interesting. If you want to age your tea, then Baozhong is one type of tea that is going to age faster than a rolled oolong. But of course, it depends, and you probably have more chances, better results with a high grade Baozhong than with a lower grade. That's of course a bit normal. Okay. Thank you very much again for all your interesting questions, remarks, feedback, and I'm going to do another tea class about Wenshan Baozhong next week. This time, to better understand even this process, we are going to compare it with the green tea, with this sample of Bilochun that I also added in this sampler, and so that we can really see the difference between Baozhong and green tea. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great Sunday and see you next Sunday. Bye bye.